Noble Cause podcast is an expression of life's learnings. I'll be your host, Michelle Cardocas-Harrison, and I invite you to connect with me as we explore a plethora of interesting subjects, such as psychology, stoicism, physics, alchemy, health, fitness, and practical tools for the seeking mind, body, and soul. Join me and other special guests on this journey to educate, to inspire, to encourage, and to turn any experience into a noble cause. Hello, my people. How's it going? My name is Michelle Cardocas-Harrison, and I am the host of the Noble Cause podcast. And I wanted to take just a couple minutes to introduce myself and give you a little bit of background on me and give you a few things to look forward to in the Noble Cause. So today I'm rocking the sweet setup of these kitten headphones, courtesy of my daughter Marley. I couldn't find any other headphones, so this is what we're rocking today. But I think it's awesome. So I live in Southwest Colorado. I've lived here my whole life. I grew up here. I moved away to Denver for a little bit whenever I was a teenager, right after high school, but ended up coming home. I went to alternative education school. So I went to the Southwest Open School, which is more expeditionary learning. We did a lot of trips and learned with more hands-on than it was just books and reciting and all that fun jazz. Whenever I was a teenager, you would see me walking down the street with dreadlocks and super loud punk rock music. I loved ska. I loved baggy pants. I'd wear baggy dickies and boxers and did the whole skater chick thing. I love to express myself in different ways, so that was definitely part of it. My influence is, I would say, for how I got to where I am today and my passion for doing the podcast. I'm also working on a book by the same name, The Noble Cause. That is my iconic brand that I have created. It's something that has definitely been in the works for my whole life, I would say. I've come to the point in my life where things have really come full circle for me, and I'm able to tell my story in a very profound way. So I am so grateful for it. I feel like it's whenever we have the chance to see what everything has done for us and feel like life is happening for us and not to us. That's whenever we were able to have the most profound learning in our life as well as growth. So there was a lot of things, just like a lot of people, that I had to work through to overcome. Most of it's mindset. So our mindsets are based on a lot of different variables, but the coolest thing about it is that we can change our mindset and we can start thinking different thoughts. Our mind is a very, very powerful and very interesting and intricate part of our body. So once I started to realize that, then that's whenever I really grabbed a hold of things. Sorry, that's my animals in the background. I'm sure they'll be making lots of noise for me today. So how I started off with this journey, and sorry. So how I started off with this journey was really just like listening to uplifting things. I would listen to YouTube videos. I started off with things like the Law of Attraction and Abraham Hicks and just spirit science and anything that was interesting to me that really elevated my mood and got me thinking in a different way. So that's where it kind of all started. I did medical billing and coding for almost a decade, and I worked independently and just did like this like computer work for hours on end. So while I was doing that, I was listening to a lot of videos and audio and stuff like that, and I think that that's really where the ball got rolling for me, challenging limiting beliefs that I had. I've always really wanted to be successful and have good relationships and be healthy and happy, and I mean what everybody wants in their life. So I was very much seeking that, and so that's whenever I kind of started thinking about things in a different way. When I did start recording the episodes for Noble Cause, it's been a work in progress. I've been randomly recording episodes for probably the last 6 months to a year. So my earlier recordings are very much in the mix of challenging things in my life. I was a business owner for a few years. I had to walk away from that venture and move on. Just a lot of different things that were going on, relationships, partnerships, and whatnot. So I believe that the best way that we can relate to people is to talk about where we are during that, and then directly afterwards, like how we pulled ourselves out of that, or how we moved on or learned from that experience. Oh, goodness. So the earlier episodes, and I'm going to make sure that they're released kind of in order, it really came from that spot. So they might be maybe a little bit deeper, maybe a little bit more like for people that are struggling or in a transitional point in their life. Those are really, really beneficial. However, from now moving forward, I really, really am committed to turning the page in my life and to writing the next chapter. So there's a lot of things that I'm going to leave behind me. I do believe in keeping those stories close to you so that you can relate and that you can connect with people. I'm honored to have so many experiences that make me very real and very human. So I love being able to connect to people and, you know, non-traditional types, right? Like I've been there. I've had, you know, substance abuse, drug addiction. I've had, you know, I grew up in having my parents were divorced, and my mother struggled with mental illness. I lost my father whenever I was 15. He was an openly gay man, and he ended up contracting HIV, and then it turned into full-blown AIDS, and he died whenever I was 15. So I have like a lot of stories, like a lot of things that I have overcome in my life or that have served me on the other end of them. So I'm an open book. There's a lot of times where people like to like keep things to themselves. They don't want to be exposed, or they don't want to be left out in the open for people to judge them. And I totally get that. That's like total self-preservation. However, I'm a little bit different story than that. I am an open book, and I am more than willing to talk about any of the experiences because I've been on the other side of them. And even things that maybe still are a little bit tender or fresh for me, I still like am open to talking about things. And I've learned to protect myself with my own personal boundaries whenever it comes to exterior energies and opinions, but not to the point to where like other people's opinions are going to affect the way that I feel about me. I've gotten pretty rock solid in the way that I feel about me. So, yeah, it doesn't really matter what other people think in that aspect. So, moving forward, I really am looking forward to having some special guests on the podcast. I am just an super like interested individual. I love asking questions. I love like thinking about the unknown or trying to connect the dots. I really am somebody that sees the big picture and likes to apply certain things, or maybe like little tidbits here and there that I'm able to put into my life, or that profound learning lessons, you know, all this stuff. So I just want to share that with my listeners and share that with my people. So I'm looking forward to having some medical professionals, maybe more with like the mind, body, spirit aspect of health, as well as Just people that have a certain type of wisdom that maybe isn't really like known, like commonly known. So anybody that I feel is interesting or that you guys might think is interesting, I want to have them on my show and I want to interview them, and so that we could all just like contribute to this collective of us all elevating our consciousness and learning new things and questioning new things. The world is changing super, super fast. So I think that now is like the best time to really like jump in and try to get a feel for the things that you enjoy or that you're interested in. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm really looking forward to the progression of this whole thing. One of my favorite quotes is "Start before you're ready." So I've jumped in with both feet. It became clear to me very recently exactly what I'm supposed to be doing with this life. I have had the opportunity to go speak to one of the high school classes at our local alternative high school. I'm actually the secretary of the board, so that gives me the opportunity to be more involved with the youth. And I've talked to a couple classes a few different times, and it's always been a great experience, but there was something about this last time, man, that I was just like in the flow, and I was able to really connect the dots for things. This class was called You Are What You Eat. So it's a nutrition class. In alternative education, we have to be creative with how we get our credits. So this was a class that was about, nutrition, exercising, health, all of that. So I was able to come full circle with things for these kids, and they just lit up. Like, I had their attention. They were locked in with me, and because of my past and because of my life experiences, I was able to really connect with them, and it meant so much that the second I walked out of that room, I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. Like, I gotta do this somehow. I gotta like get my message out there one way or the other. So got super committed and clear with my goals about launching podcast and getting my episodes edited and released. Also working on the book. The book that I'm working on is geared towards youth. So I want it to be not like straight to the point. I've cut out a lot of fat. It's a lot about like asking questions. It's not preachy or try to tell you how to live your life. It's encouraging you to question your own mindset and to question things that serve you or don't serve you, and to have the courage and the discipline to make the changes that you need in your life. That's what has allowed me to overcome things in my life, and that is what I encourage other people to. So my big life's goal is to inspire, is to educate, and to encourage others. So I'm just jumping in, baby, and this is me. Work-wise, now that I am not a business owner anymore, I sleep better at night. Just kidding, that's my little joke. But it's true. I have a retail job. I sell shoes at a shoe store locally, so that's been awesome. It's a paycheck. I'm able to do it just a couple days a week. I have 2 kids, 4-year-old little Jax, and I have a 9-year-old Marley. So those are my pride and joy. I love my kids. I love being a mom. I'm so grateful to have them in my life. They're the best thing ever. I also am a CrossFit coach and a CrossFit athlete. CrossFit has freaking saved my life, dude, like in so many different ways. I was never really the athletic type other than just like skating and whatnot. Whenever I was younger, I wish I like was one of the athletic kids, but I just never felt like that was the life for me. I didn't fit in. I didn't have money. I didn't have parents that like could play games with me and whatnot. So I rejected that whole stereotype and kind of went that total different direction and ended up being like a stoner skater punk. But now that I've come full circle in my realization for like my authentic self, CrossFit, I love it so much. It's so much fun. I love the camaraderie and the community. I love being a teacher and being able to help other people better their lives. I love the energy. I love the people I get to work with and the coaches I get to work with. I've been doing it for almost 3 years, and it's one of the best things that's ever happened to me. I have amazing results. I'm able to love my body and be amazed with how strong I am. Whenever I'm in the gym, I'm not just training physically, man. I'm training emotionally, and I'm training spiritually and mentally. It's all very closely related. So it's my happy place that I'm able to really do good work. So I'm so grateful for that. So moving on to some of the influences that are have influenced me, like with the style of podcast or teachings that I want to put out into the world, as well as things that have inspired me. First off, I have to give a big shout out to the Positive Head podcast and the host Brandon Beecham and other hosts. Positive Head, man, we've been together since the very beginning, I would have to say. I started listening whenever Brandon very first started doing his episodes, and I think he's like close to 1,000 right now. It's been a couple years. So very grateful for that. The thing that I love about that podcast is that it's like some episodes are really far out, like super expansive ideas. And as much as I love that type of stuff, it could be a little, gosh, almost pretentious sometimes whenever people talk about it. You know, I love like the whole spirituality, self-help, yada, yada. That's all fine and dandy, but I really crave and also appreciate a very like down-to-earth, playful, lighthearted like approach to that. So that's kind of what I want to bring, and that's what I appreciate whenever I get to be exposed to that too. And I feel like there's a real big need for that in the world, because it's not just all like crystal balls and all that stuff, you know. I keep a lot of things to myself for my far out views, but whenever it comes to connecting with other people, I definitely want to come from the place of being real and authentic, but also playful, lighthearted, all that fun stuff. So I appreciate that, and check out the Positive Head podcast if you haven't already. A couple other ones, Spiritual Phoenix. I was able to be interviewed. Ross Cessna interviewed me on that podcast once, so I appreciate that. Psychic Teachers, those ladies are just awesome. Anything Hay House. Tony Robbins. So Tony Robbins has been, I would say Tony Robbins and Abraham Hicks have probably been the two most influential teachers for me for my path. I love how Tony is just like the real deal, man. He doesn't just mess around. It's not just, he's the opposite side of the just positive thinking. He's like, let's figure out what this problem is and let's pull it out by the root and let's move on with our lives. So I really appreciate Tony Robbins. Tim Ferriss, my man, Unmistakable Creative Podcast, and of course the Joe Rogan Experience, because I got much love for Joe Rogan. So shout out to him if he's listening. A couple of books that have influenced me. Anything by Stephen Pressfield, really short reads. Do the Work and Turning Pro. That's one of like my favorite books. So if you are working on a project, it could be anything, but you just need kind of something to little guide you around a little bit. Any of those books are a really good place to start. Also, Anatomy of the Spirit. That was pretty eye-opening for me. It talks a lot about just like our energy and how it interacts with other people and whatnot. One of my favorite books is Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus. If you've never read that book before, man, you should read it, because it's so eye-opening just about like the differences between the male and the female, and it just helps us understand. I feel like it's all about information. You know, everybody has opinions and judgments so much, but ultimately it's just information, and then you get to make your own decision about how you feel about things. So I love being able to have information that I might not otherwise have, especially for men and women alike. Sometimes men aren't super great with communicating, so that book is good for women to read to get an inside scoop on the way that they think. And then on the other side, sometimes women talk too much and they don't get to the point of really what they're feeling and how they work. So it's beneficial for men to be able to read this book as well to get inside of the women's head. Also, Awaken the Giant Within, Tony Robbins' book. Anything Dale Carnegie. That's a good place to start for anybody that's just like challenging their mindset and trying to get going in a better direction with your life. However, like, that's just the starting point. So don't get attached too much to all the law of attraction, positive head, The Secret, like the movie, the documentary that we had. It's great information to like, oh yeah, I can think different thoughts and things show up in my life in different ways. That's great, but there's a lot more work than that. So don't be naive to think that that's just all you have to do. Music-wise, I am a huge reggae fan. Right now, like for always, Sublime is my jam favorite band. Obviously, they're not around anymore. Not the real Sublime. The Movement, been jamming out with those guys. I got to see them live not too long ago. Stick Figure, Slightly Stupid, Soja. I love ska music, Less Than Jake, Catch 22. Of course, like punk rock, the Misfits. Been jamming some Metallica lately. Sometimes I want something upbeat, so I love the D'Antwoord, Skillerex, and my most current obsession would be this phenomenal lyrical artist named Noname, and she is a poet, but she jams with a band that is this like super like bluesy hip hop, funk, soul, just really really good. So I suggest, like, it gets me going. Like, I love the mood, just chilling at home, putting the No Name on and just like doing my thing. So it is some good jams for sure. A couple of my favorite quotes. The first one I would have to say is expect problems and eat them for breakfast. It's a good one. And I think it's very realistic. Too many times we want things to be easy, or we want things right now. You know, people don't know how to wait for anything, or they don't know how to work for anything. And the second, or they say, oh, this is going to go wrong. What if this goes wrong? What if that goes wrong? Well, you can guarantee that something is not going to go as planned. But once you expect that and just like take care of business regardless, then nothing can stop you. It's really where your discipline comes into play, is continuing on regardless of things that get thrown at you. It's like, I'm not going to let that stop me. Turtle power. Another one is, how you do one thing is how you do everything. This one I could go rounds with, but to me it means how you fold your laundry is how you treat people. How you drink your cup of coffee is how you run a business. Like, it's all related. Whether you're present, whether you're calm, whether you're just like real and feeling whatever you're feeling, your relationships, all that. How you do one thing is how you do everything. And I keep that in mind for the easy things in my life and for the challenging things in my life. And I really want to embody that because it means a lot to me. Another quote is, be brave and show your heart to everyone. That is a rarity in this world, but I'm hoping that it becomes more normal because, you know, I am out here. I am 100% willing to show my heart and my scars and my issues and my insecurities and all that stuff. And you could take it or you could leave it. I know that I'm doing the right thing, and I'm just hoping that somebody out there I can connect to. So it takes a lot of courage to be like that. Courage and a very healthy self-esteem and straight, like, grounded confidence. That's what allows me to do what I do, because I take very good care of myself and I know myself very well and I love myself and honor myself, and so nothing else can really touch you. You're like untouchable whenever you come from that spot. So I appreciate that quote a lot. Just a couple questions. So I've come up with some questions that I'm going to ask other people in my interviews, and I thought that it would be a good idea to ask myself those questions and give you guys a little bit of insight about my answers to those questions. So my questions are, tell me one thing that you love to do, one thing that you love about life, and one thing that you love about yourself. So today, one thing that I love to do, my latest obsession is shooting hoops, baby. It's just playing basketball all by myself. I mean, it's nice to play with other people, but it could be a one-man game. So I love that it could be a one-man game. Also, there's a lot of times like I have had anxiety for my entire life. Now in my life, I have managed it very well. It's still there, though it doesn't go away, you know. There's a lot of times that it's not really a strong emotion, but so for me, sometimes I get really like antsy or agitated, or I just like have this energy that I have to burn off, but I don't really want to do anything that requires a lot of thought, or I don't really want to work on a project, or I'm just like, I have this energy, I need to do something with it. And sometimes I'm all alone, so it's like, well, what are you going to do? So I grab basketball and I just get out there and I just shoot hoops, baby. It allows me to be outside in the sun and spend time with me. I usually play music and drink a fizzy water and just shoot hoops for a couple hours. So that's been my latest thing, and I think it is awesome, and it's cool that I am able to do that in this like reality in this world. So one thing that I like about life, I've been reflecting lately on, gosh, there's a lot of things I like about life. But the coolest thing I think right now is the ability to be yourself and know yourself, spend time with yourself, and like come from that place. But also, we have this opportunity to co create our existence with other people. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's messy, sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's easy. It's forever changing because there's so many different variables and there's other people that are involved. It's not just you. However, when you're straight, like solid with who you are, then you get to watch things and you get to pick and choose and sift through things like what experience do you want to have? What energy do you want to have in your life? Or even just pay attention to how certain energies affect you. So that's my coolest thing about life right now, is just like really making sure that I'm taking care of number one, which is me, and then observe from that perspective other things, and pick and choose what energy that I want to jive with today. I'm really committed to moving forward in my life, so that means I got to be pretty particular about the conversations I have, the thoughts that I think, the way that I talk about things. So having the ability to be an individual in this existence and also co-create with other energies and other people is a really, really cool thing about life that I like. So the last thing is one thing that you love about yourself. That's a really good question. I think from my point of view from right now, I think my favorite thing about myself is my ability to overcome and to learn from every experience I have ever had. It's all come full circle, and I am able to look back and be grateful for the things that worked out and be grateful for the things that didn't work out. So I could have given up and thrown in the towel 1,000,001 times. I probably have given up multiple times for a minute, but I always picked myself back up and I always carried on. And now I get to reap the benefits of living my life that way. So now I'm 33 years old and I have arrived. So that is definitely something that I love about myself, is my ability to overcome and learn from everything. Well, that's me in a nutshell. It's an introduction to what's going on with this podcast. I hope that you join me. I'm going to try to record as much as possible. I absolutely love being in my little studio that I have. I love doing recordings. I love connecting with other people. I love telling stories. I love writing. I love all of that stuff. So this is like really, really brings a lot of joy to my life. So I appreciate anybody that has taken the time out of their life to join me. And I hope that we could connect and grow this thing even bigger. I can see this being very far reaching. And I hope that we're able to connect on this level. Noble cause means having the opportunity to turn any experience into a noble cause. And it's also it's right in line with mastery and to mastering any situation that's in front of you, which means that you can turn any situation into a very profound life learning lesson. So, I hope you join me. I appreciate you so much for taking the time to listen to me today. Connect with me. I'm going to put all of my info at the end of each episode, and we're just getting started. So moving forward, there's going to be a lot of like really sweet stuff happening. So I hope that you stick around. I got much love for all you people, and I'll be talking to you soon. Thank you for taking the time to tune in to the Noble Cause podcast. It is a great joy and honor to be able to connect with you. If you feel this episode, or if you can think of someone that can benefit from it, share it with them. You could also leave me a review, like the Facebook page, The Noble Cause, or hit me up at thenoblecausepodcast@gmail.com. I love connecting with new people, sharing ideas, and keeping the flow of conscious energy so that we may continue to be inspired, interested, and interesting. I hope this transmission has served your highest good, and until next time, much love to my people.